Morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where and when you are watching this video. My name is Ike Tangod Azoyedima. I am known as Schwaz. So the purpose of this video, this message, is to call our attention into certain things that are really important but are being overlooked. Really important but being overlooked. I've taken my time to go through certain things, certain speeches and certain ideas being proposed by leaders today, leaders in the past and upcoming leaders, especially of African descent, that have been able to come into the realization that we are missing one particular factor. Africa, if we put us in perspective, if you put us side by side with every other continent, we are great, but our greatness, we are missing a particular factor. By the grace of God, I've been able to be in Africa and also be in Asia, especially some of these developed nations in Asia, UAE, and today by the grace of God, China. I've been to look into certain things, compare my route with these places. What is the difference? What is making these people progress, prosper, develop, go higher? What is this factor that they were able to really realize, really be able to recognize, that be making them go so fast into massive development? Take UAE for instance, a nation that, if you talk about topography, talk about agriculture, they really will not compete. But they are doing fine, they are feeding well, they are good. Today you talk about China, it's a story for another day. How they feed, how they are able to take care of things. I put all these places into perspective, comparing them with my own particular route, Africa. I mean, we see that we have, naturally we have advantage over them in certain things. But we've not been able to realize this factor. How do we compete? Where do we have our strength? Where do we belong? Who are we? What really is our own hidden blessing in Africa? Until we begin to look into these things, until we realize these factors and begin to channel our energy into them, we'll keep playing second fiddle to the other parts of the world. By the grace of God, I grew up in the remote village of Amaja or Bahanato. I know what it means to farm. I know what it means to grow up as a peasant boy. Africa is so blessed. Nigeria is so blessed. We have our hidden talent, our hidden factors, our blessings deep down there that we've not been able to realize. I was going through certain write-ups about US, about America. I realized that it's less than 10% of the whole population that are into agriculture, but they feed fine. Less than 10% of the whole population. Come over to here in China. Everyone is really into massive production, massive business. It's just a very little number that are into agriculture, food production, be it animal or plant, food production. But they don't go hungry. They process, they export, they feed us back home in Africa. I want to call our attention that it is time we realize that Africa, we are not what we are today because of maybe God did not bless us. We are what we are today. The land is what it is today because we've not been able to really realize where we can compete from, really realize what we can channel our energies into and be able to compete. Our topography, top notch. The seasons, we have the rainy season, the dry season, comes when it should and how it should. Unlike certain places where it is either extremely cold or extremely hot. Agriculture. I want to talk about let Dr. Sam Mbakwe, the revolutionist. He used to call him the crying governor. This man was able to see this, and all through his tenure, I think till today, the old Igbo state have never had it so good. If you go through history, I didn't know, I wasn't born when he was there as a governor, but from comparison from what we've seen, I haven't seen the leader, the governor in the whole of southeastern states, for instance, of Nigeria, that is able to measure up to what he was able to do with many income, with little resources that he had. I'm going to talk about Michael Okpara. I call him the agriculture revolutionist leader. I want to challenge us today, especially the youth, brothers and sisters. If we are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, really, in Africa, the youth, it is time we start looking into certain things that our leaders, our fathers overlooked. Yes, our fathers overlooked. Chasing this and that, trying to measure up where we do not have the strength to compete. We can't compete with China, US, Russia, and the other developed nations in terms of technology. But there are places we could compete to feed ourselves. Each time you call home, you begin to realize that foodstuffs keep skyrocketing. Families find it so difficult to even eat, feed. A family will afford today to make a little meal. If they tell you the amount they will spend, realize that we are looking down on our own God-given blessings. Everyone wants it so quick, so fast, clean. No one wants to dirty his hands. No one wants to get down, sweat it out, think it out, and make it happen. Yes, to make it happen, you must sweat it out, soil your hand. We are so blessed, and I'm so proud to come from where I came from. I'm so proud. The blessings God bestowed us is top notch, incomparable to every other places that I've been to and places that I've seen that I've not been able to reach. I want to challenge us today. Our leaders today, the leaders of tomorrow, my mates, the youths, it is time we begin to compete from where we have natural strength. Agriculture. I'm going through a lot of things about Ibrahim Traore, the current leader of Burkina Faso. I'm so happy with that young man. Leaders of tomorrow, leaders of tomorrow. Man, he is leader of today. A youth. I begin to see that this guy came in and he was able to address exactly what Africa needs to look into. To feed. Let us start from there. You cannot build a skyscraper from the top. You must start from the foundation. A family that cannot feed very well. A community that cannot feed. A country that cannot feed very comfortably cannot compete in technology, in business, in everything. You keep playing second fiddle. Traore was able to revolutionize the nation, channel everybody's mindset into what can you make, what can you do, what is it that you can make, that you can do, that can feed you. And agriculture is booming today. They were told before they could not produce wheat in Burkina Faso over the years by their own leaders, by people outside of their country. But today, go and look into what is happening with production in Burkina Faso. This is a Sahel region of Africa. We want to talk about the Sudan region, the tropical region, and the mangrove region, of which my own nation falls into. We have the mangrove swamp, the rainforest of the eastern Nigeria, the Sudan area of the middle belt, and the Sahel of the north. Each and every region, each and every state should be able to compete, should be able to say, this is what you can contribute to the nation as our own produced goods, produced food. Before, I used to be ashamed on this particular issue, but I'm proud to say today that I am proud to be an African. I am proud to say we are blessed, but we've not realized. It was under Sam Mbakwe that Malaysia visited, right? Yeah. Took some nuts of our palm, went back home. Between then and now, look at what is going on. Where do we belong? Which one do we say we have strength in? Which one do we say we are top in? We are the best in. Jack of all trade, and then we master nothing. Malaysia had to go back home with those nuts they picked from our own old Imo state. Yes, I'm so proud to say it. And I've told a lot of people that Malaysia breed, whatever you call it, the resources from my own land. They came, they picked it. They went back home. Because they know the importance, because they know what it is worth. They channeled energy, they channeled thinking, they channeled learning, they channeled ideas into it. And today we hear Malaysian breed. Even back home, we the source wants to now start talking about Malaysian breed, asking and begging. How long are we gonna beg Africa? I am an agriculturist. I am a farmer. Whatever I do, wherever I go. Because I may not be into total practice of agriculture for now, but I preach agriculture. I preach farming because it is the one and most important factor of which, if we look into Africa, Nigeria, southeastern part of Nigeria to start with, my own home, Abia State. This is where we will look into. We start being sustainable first. Be able to sustain ourselves. And then, with time, we'll be able to give out and make returns. It becomes a business. Back then, when I was growing up, I was called names. Thank God in Buraku, But Buraku really shaped me, shaped my life, made me go places. Yes, go places. I was able to leave Nigeria the first time to UAE, to Dubai, because I so much was into Buraku while I was a student, while I was in school, secondary school and tertiary institution. Imagine what it could have been if such kind of zeal, such kind of enthusiasm was fired on. Putting thinking, putting knowledge, putting ideas, putting studies into it. I challenge us, leaders, followers, top, middle, bottom. Agriculture is the real deal. A nation that cannot feed very comfortably cannot compete in anything. We talk about crude oil, this and that, blah, blah, blah. How much is a liter of fuel in Nigeria? Families have to go back home to their different destinations for Christmas. How many of them were able to afford a bag of rice? Yet our land is so blessed. From Abakaliki upwards, we could make rice, could produce rice as much as we want. But yet we cannot afford what we can produce. A liter of palm oil is how much today in the market? Yet, God. I challenge us today, brethren. We cannot compete. I've studied so hard in this. I've looked around. I've compared and contrast. We cannot compete with the world if we do not realize where our own natural strengths lies. Every part of the world God created and gave a particular strength. Each one of them that realizes their own strength, booms, and begin to do wonders. We begin to go to them, to buy from them, trade with them, beg them, play second fiddle to them. It is time we realize that the nation, the continent, is hungry. A hungry man will always be an angry man. You cannot get yam comfortably. You cannot yet get gari comfortably. You cannot get palm oil comfortably. Rice. You talk about beans, tomato. Things that we could easily, just at our backyard, we could do one or two things, and few months they have become food. No, we will not do them. Why? Because every one of us wants to be like the Americans, the Chinese, the Europeans. Then those who have the strength, the youths who still have the strength and the ability to channel their mind into these kind of things, will tell you no. They want it. Because it happened now, and that leads into what? I will not mention. Wasting our energy in things that will come backfiring on us. Again, wasting our energy in things that we cannot compete. we cannot compete. Let us go back to our roots. I challenge us, the leaders of tomorrow. Let's become leaders of today. Let us look into what we have strength. If our leaders of today, the fathers, are not able to look into it, let's revolutionize it. Let's get into it. Let's show them that we have realized that this can help. Give to your nation. If it's an idea, if it's your strength, do not wait for what your nation is going to give you. When we start concocting this kind of ideas into us, you see how the country is developing, you see our continent developing. We are not going to remain forever blaming the leadership, blaming the president, the governor, the government, or whatever. Why they are not able to do it? Let's start from the one who can do. It's a shame that we call home each time. The basic problem of 70 years, 100 years back still remains the basic problem of today. Feeding. Feeding. We have to crack it. It is very simple. It is very simple to crack. It is not difficult. Because God have laid down everything like maths. Laid down everything for us. Are we ready? That is the only thing that remains. During rainy season, rain comes normal, the way it should be. And you don't need to go doing irrigation, doing this and that in the whole part of Africa. During dry season, the sun comes normal. Your crops doesn't get being scorched in the soil. What else do you need? The crude oil, we put all our mind set in. The liquid gold. I won't say God failed us, no. God blessed us. But we are failing ourselves. He blessed us with them naturally. But are we able to afford these things? How many people could, during the heat or whatever, be able to on their generator? Because that is what we use back home. Be able to on your generator, power it for like 2 hours consecutively without having to go into pain in your pocket. The world is going so far, so fast, leaving us behind. I will keep going backward and backward in our own thinking while everything is there before us. What can you produce? What are you known for? Can you make Gary and say, yes, this particular year, my family will not buy Gary, rather will give out? Can you produce yam? Is it palm oil you can do? Is it tomatoes you can plant? Potatoes you can plant? Is it corn? Which one can you produce to start to feed first? As time goes on, start making income from them. No, we don't want to think about this. It's a cake, it's barbaric, it's as aged, it is something we don't want to hear. It's things of the old days. Is it? Everyone, look at the age between 15 years upwards, thinks of how to make it so fast, go into one thing or the other to make it and be called one name or the other. Yet at the end of the day, you have less than 5% of all who venture coming out successful. Where are these 95%? And you think the nation will go better? When 100 people march out into war and only 5 returns, you think you have victory? No. While there are fields where if all 100 of us marched into At least 99.9 of us will come back home smiling. Agriculture. I challenge our leaders. Look into this. Empower those who really have the zeal to go into this and see us doing great in Africa. The youths, take it up by yourselves. Do not wait for the leaders to give you the mantle. We are the leaders of today and tomorrow. Take up your hoes. Take up your farming implements. Begin to do it. Challenge yourself. This year, my family is not going to buy garri. Start with that. How much is a pint of garri in our markets back home there? Begin to realize how much you spend in things you can easily go behind your backyard and pick up. No. Don't want to go into that because we want to look like the people cannot compete with. I tell us the truth. Having been with them, having gone around their lands, having seen the ones I have not gone to, there are things we have, there are things we are blessed, they lack. God made the whole world to be able to go into a kind of trade by barter. What do you have? This is what I have. What do A have? This is what B has. This is how God made the world to be. But yet we drop what we have, drop our own blessings, our own strength, and we are trying to compete with them with what they have naturally, though they don't even have to go around to look for. They have naturally, because they realized it, they went into it, developed it, and it's working for them. Until we realize the truth. But I'm so happy with the mentality of the kind of leaders coming up today in Africa. I don't care if they are coming to democracy, they are coming to anywhere, they are coming, however they are coming to. The mentality, the mindset, the result is what I'm looking into. And I say thumbs up to Ibrahim Traore. You're an example of a youth that really realizes that we are leaders of today. And thumbs up also to John Dramani Mahama. I went through his inaugural speech and I was like, yes, I'm happy that our leaders are thinking this way. And I pray that many more leaders will come up who has this kind of ideas, who first at least recognizes God and gives him his position in our land, and then realizes that the masses needs to be channeled into the reality, who rewards and encourages reality, encourages truth. And the truth is that the continent is hungry. Africa is hungry. Nigeria, we are hungry. And we've been able to sell out ourselves just to be able to eat. It's a new year. The Bible says that if you start being better today, fine. We have Iran. We are supposed to be in a position where every nation should come like Malaysia came then. Every nation should be coming to borrow ideas, as in to at least relate with us, knowing fully well that we are at least compatible, we are okay. What is our comparative? Where do we have our comparative advantage? When we begin to answer this question, then we begin to realize where we are. Where does our comparative advantage lie? Where can we compete from? What can we say? Yes, we can give this. if you give us this. Thank you and God bless everyone. I love Africa and I will remain that way. I love Nigeria. I love Abia State. Demorum. I love Amaja.